Let's do a little more practice with the bends, the bending of the strings. So I like to start on the classic, kind of that territory in A minor pentatonic. So let's see what happens. What happens when you bend a string? So I was talking about letting these two fingers help with the bend. They also touch the D string to kind of sweep it over. And the A, watch what happens to the D and maybe the A string. When you touch them, you can't excite them and make them vibrate. You have to deaden them with the tips of your fretting hand's fingers. So these three fingers are touching the D string and then they're coming over hitting the A. So we don't hear these kind of making a kind of a rattle or some sort of a noise. That's one idea. I also have my thumb hanging over the top to keep the fat string from making any sound, so I'm kind of guarding that. So it's a lot of muting, which I remember I was reading about that in about 1992, and I was like, oh man, do I have to do that? Well, I was already doing it. It's just thinking about it was worse than doing it's fine. So, normally we're going to go up a whole step. I'm going to turn on my tuner and check my tuning. Here's like a D at the 7th fret, 3rd string. I'm going to push it up to an E, whole step. It's pretty stable. Now, once you get it up there, I think it's kind of cool to practice, well, as we talked about yesterday, stopping the note, or you can stop it with this hand by just sort of releasing it and kind of muting it. Like, you can make a little sound, but this other hand can stop it too with your pick or your thumb. So stopping is important. Now I want to talk about dropping the note down. So let's say we go up, pick it again and drop it. Just let it kind of settle down to that D with control. That's kind of a weepy sound, like weep, weep, weep. And you could resolve it with like a C-A. Get out of it like that. C-A, 5-7. And again, when I'm making that A, just happen to be all these fingers are muting the other strings. That's muting, this is muting, the underside of that is muting. Pinky's not. Kind of off topic, but not really. So make sure you can go up and down with that note with control. Let's do a pre-bend where we first bend, then let it down. Pre-bend, now pick it. Or keep it up. Now we let it down. So pre-bend, pick, let it down. Like the beginning of Wild Thing. Pre-bend. That's pretty cool. Just sounds. Okay, so pre-bend, you get it? You're going to bend it, pick it, let it down. Eventually, we're going to try some other notes, but let's keep it right here on this lick. Let's do one more little phrase. You've heard this before. Something like that. So kind of making it talk. I want you so bad, babe. So yeah, make that bend part of a phrase That'd be a good one to look up. Beatles song, I Want You, She's So Heavy. Just a little bit of that main lick would be a good example of key of A, bending that third string D up to E. And you might notice I hit the C. There you can kind of bend it just a tiny bit, not even to a C sharp. So bends can be really small too, and maybe not to a specific whole step or half step. It can be less than a half step. We'll get into more of that. So for now, for today, let's just make sure you can control the bend, hold it, and let it down, and maybe do a pre-bend, let it down. And you can always throw an A chord on there to help you remember what key you're in and get that resonant tonal center. I always hit those darn A chords because they just sound great. All right. Thanks a lot.